I think it all began with her death, my grandmother, Polly. In a way, that was the beginning of the project. She'd always said there was treasure in her house, and when we had to sort it all out and clean it, we found so much stuff. Every pay stubs she'd ever earned, every card she'd ever been given, hundreds of glass canning jars. My younger cousin even dug up the cold room floor looking for treasure. But there were no gold coins. There was no treasure, so to speak. I finally realized that this junk was her treasure. There was a huge pile of old catalogues, and I decided to save sort of one every 5 years and recycled the rest. I played with them in the studio for a while, and that's how I came up with the idea for the Paper Dolls project. I think it may have been a way of linking my soon-to-be-born baby to the death of my grandmother. Yes, this is the first time that I've ever done collage, or that I've ever done anything like this. The years are 1952, that was the first one, the oldest one I could find that my grandmother had in her basement, to the year she died, which is this year, 2010. This one is the last catalog, and then I'm finished cutting. Well, almost. They all need to be cut out again, but that's the first, stage one of cutting. Here is an excellent example of a woman with a product shot. So just like we had the girl with the refrigerator, we've got a woman with a Viking washing machine. Here's a woman advertising a mattress. A woman advertising an ironing board. This is the way that people shopped, predominantly in the 50s. I remember a gentleman I know telling me that to buy shoes, his mom would trace his foot out on a piece of paper and mail that tracing in to get the right size of shoe. But it's coming together well, I think. It's taking a long time. And now I'm into the arranging and mounting stage. For the first side, the second step will be the back sides, which will be after the first are all joined together. Well, I started this project in June, so that's June, July, August, September, and we're now into October, so it's been 4 months. So I've been cutting for 4 months. I've spent my whole pregnancy in here working on this project. Well, this is maternity wear. This is some maternity wear right here, so it's very different than the type of maternity wear I'm wearing. So this is a general public sort of market and everyday kind of people, and that's why I think this is really interesting, because it isn't haute couture or it isn't fashion forward, but it is responding to what the market wants. I did find this. For example, this bedspread and curtains, matching curtains, were still in her house the day she died, 2010. And they come from this catalog of 1975. And we didn't know why this was still in the house. I mean, it's pretty awful. But in finding this and looking at the price of it, it's one of the more expensive sets in this catalog. So I definitely think that that was important to her. My mother suggested this was also one of the years, one of her last years in the workforce. So this was probably money that she earned herself. I think that she was house proud, and that perhaps looking at these catalogs or magazines made her feel maybe up and coming in some way. To come from such a distinct cultural and religious background, an agrarian, anti-capitalist Russian colony, and her transition to a more independent, modern Canadian family, and those roles that it entails. In a way, it's a story of change and loss. In the end, I don't think she was a success or a failure at assimilation. It was perhaps more of a strategic amalgamation. Why I think these might have been her treasures is because I don't think she had a lot of money. They didn't have a lot of things, material things. They were collectors, maybe even borderline hoarders. And they saved everything and they kept everything thinking it would have a purpose or that it would be useful in some way. It's a very strange inheritance, I think. And I guess inheritance is what you make of it, what you do with it.
Where's your toys? Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Something really interesting that's happened over the course of time is that I've fallen in love with the backs. And it's this idea to take everything that's left in the catalog and then to just rip it out and to put it together in sort of a collage. Sort of the way I think our memories might work, like collective memory of all of these items over the past has worked. We've got women, and this is from 1957, and we've got a number of sort of girdles or corsets, collars. Here we've got women from 1965. And although interesting on that side, the back, then again, with the type of pants, the color, these amazing hats, boots, shoes, socks. What were just the everyday? What were the items that people saw? The tile in the bathrooms. So by putting them all together in this sort of collaged fashion, they sort of act like a collective memory, not just of products, but of shapes and texture and desires that reference places and times and events in people's lives. And how people relate to these images, sort of what they bought or what they couldn't afford to buy. Or how the catalog painted an image of what they aspired to be. Or maybe they felt underrepresented. These stories are all unique to me and unique to polystars.